everybody. Artistry and Finesse with you. The season premiere of The Bachelorette. There was some talk that maybe we weren't going to do this for Dez's season, but ultimately that was just talk, Finesse. We all knew how this was going to end up.
And I'm really glad that we're doing it because what I saw at the end of the episode tonight was nothing short of discrimination. Because what Desiree is and what she revealed herself to be tonight is a heightist. She's discriminating against the three shortest people on the show. The magician, he gets sent home. He's like 5'8", 5'9".
Tops.
Diago, or Giago in proper pronunciation. The knight in shining armor. She sent home her knight in shining armor. He's like 5'6". And then Micah also gets sent home in the crazy suit. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what makes these three guys alike? And it's that they're shorter than the rest of the guys. And I honestly found that offensive. And I think that moving forward, we have the new minority that we're rooting for on this show, and it's short guys. I think the short guys need to have their say, and Desiree didn't give it to him, and I think it's really abominable.
So you think on the last season, Sean's season, we cleared the color hurdle? That's no longer, we're living in a colorblind culture on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and now we've moved on to height issues.
I think that what Catherine did to the color barrier is nothing short of a
She obliterated.
She just bulldozed the color barrier right over. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's no longer a barrier. And I'm looking out for other people who are systematically discriminated against. And I feel that tonight was just blatant, just really blatant. And I had such high hopes for Desiree, and she just let me down. She really let me down.
Well, that's why people come to us, I think, because we look at the subtext, what might not be transparent to everybody else, maybe newcomers to the show. When Chris Harrison talked about how Des set the tone tonight and how she really let everyone know how it's going to be, I think we saw something different than maybe everybody else saw with this height issue.
Right. Like someone who's a novice to the show might come upon this episode and be like, oh, that guy was doing magic. Of course she let him go.
That one guy couldn't speak English and he was wearing a suit of armor.
Right, and the other guy was wearing bowling pants and stitched his own jacket together. Of course she sent him home. But no, I mean, look, if Juan Pablo comes out in knight in shining armor, kicking the soccer ball in his armor and that helmet on, and he reveals his face and the neck beard, she's swooning. And it's not because it has nothing to do with the knight in shining armor, it's because of his height. Yeah,
it's upsetting. So did you think that there was any particular theme that they were hitting in the opening of the show? I know that there was a conversation where Des said, I really feel like Cinderella, and Harrison responded, this really is amazingly like Cinderella, to which Des said, it's amazing how much this is like Cinderella. Was that too much, or was that just right?
Well, I think the reason she's pulling out the Cinderella references are because of the economic distress she grew up in. And it's kind of this theme that we're going to keep going back to, her humble beginnings. It's another way of saying she grew up very poor.
Do you think they're going to keep going back to that?
I suspect that they will. And I want to tell you something that I picked up on. And I think that America owes Dez's brother an apology. Because in last season, Des brought Sean to hometown, and Dez's brother really just sabotaged the whole thing. And I think we found out why tonight. Des said that she grew up in an apartment, where her brother's bedroom was the living room, which to me means that Des took the bedroom and let her. And so, of course, her brother resents
her. He's angry.
He's angry. He's grown up with like 20 years of frustration. He finally gets his chance to let it out. Like, hey, maybe if you switched rooms with me every 6 months, I wouldn't have gone and ruined your life on national TV.
I think Dez's brother's going to cut someone during hometowns.
Well, he better not cut some of these guys, because some of these guys are super swole.
Yes. I know that you stay pure. You don't watch the scenes of coming attractions.
I don't.
I'm not going to talk about this with you, but let me just say nothing's going to happen that's going to disabuse you of the notion that the swole guys are going to have a big impact on the season. Who are your front runners right now?
I don't think there's front runners. There was only one guy that really stood out to me, and that's Drew. I think he was the first guy out of the limo. We know the first guy out of the limo has a history of staying on the show for a long time. I think he's going to be around for a while. Other than that, I really thought it was a bad group of guys. What about you?
Let me tell you something about Drew that you may have missed. We always watch for this in the first episode. It wasn't just that he was the first out of the limo. It wasn't that he just sort of seemed to have this first conversation thing down, where he's just like coy enough yet engaging enough to really draw in the Bachelorette. But he also, in the first voiceover, you'll recall, said that he had divorced parents, an alcoholic dad, and then Drew said, pausing for dramatic effect, not only that, I have a mentally handicapped sister. Really just, boom, 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 nailed it.
Right, and I think Desiree didn't know what to do at that point. She probably was like, this man is my husband. How does a guy do all? That was a textbook, like, I'm coming in, I'm going to be normal, because I think normal's a way to stand out among this group of guys.
No question.
So he's normal at first, and then as soon as she lets him in at all, you're right, it's just boom, walls down, just shattered all over the place. And now she's left to try to pick up, all the other guys are left to pick up the pieces of his walls.
There's only 2 boxes Drew needs to check at this point. In episode 4, the woman that he loved, a tree fell on her, and she's dead. Episode 5, I love you. That's it. And Drew's done. Just send him right to hometowns.
Now, he could probably... I have really high expectations for Drew. I think he could do all of those things while repelling in episode 3.
What'd you think of Bryden, the Iraqi
Wait,
veteran?
can we go back for a second and talk about Catherine and the tree falling on the friend? Has there ever been a better wall letting down?
It's just the best wall shattering of all time.
Unbelievable. Really, that friend. And look what the friend did to her. The sacrifice her friend made, and now she's, she won The Bachelor.
Listen, for those of you who don't watch every season of this show, if you don't know what we're talking about, the woman who won in Sean's season of The Bachelor told a story mid-season about how she was walking in the woods with her friend and a tree. A tree just fell on her friend. Just killed her.
But she waited. The funny thing is she waited until like the 7th episode and just randomly was like, hey, I want to tell you, sometimes I act weird. It was just terrific.
Just awful. You can't top it.
And again, our thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to the family of the girl. But she really set a new standard for walls coming down.
Okay. Change the subject.
All right, you were talking. Okay, you were asking about. Well, let's talk about walls, because you were asking about Bryden, the Iraq War veteran, who seems like he seems like a pretty nice guy. I think he's going to be around for a while, Bryden. There's more to the war story that we're going to get. He's going to start. It's going to come out, and it's just a matter of. It's not does he have the right material to keep going. It's does he play it at the right time. He has to be strategic about it.
He might struggle a little bit, but I think that's endearing, and I think Des sees that. He knew that he had to come out with some story about his trials and tribulations. And what he came up with was, I was in Iraq, I was on the army base, and I met an Iraqi girl. End stop. That was pretty much the story. And Des was impressed that he said that earnestly, that he talked to someone on the army base in Iraq, and that was really enough. That was enough for the rose at this stage. It's not going to be enough going forward. I'm going to put that out there.
You don't think? See, I think what you don't. put any stock in the fact that they sent the camera crew to his hometown to do the shot of him throwing the ball to his dog and kind of running around and looking all jacked in that T-shirt?
None. We've seen that kind of red herring before. We're too experienced. We're veterans. We're not going to get taken in by that. We've seen a lot of people that get the montage in the first episode. And, you have to be able to sort through the riffraff and zero in on who's a keeper, who is going to be around for a number of weeks. I don't see that with Bryden.
Other than Drew, then, who else do you see as a real threat, a real contender this season?
Well, let me look at my notes here. You've got Brandon, who I think is a little bit of a dark horse. He's a guy that likes to be outside, be on the lake, water ski. His father left when he was very young. His mom struggled with addiction. Strong backstory there. Not offensive. I think we're going to see him stick around for a couple of weeks. I think, let's see. Yep, that's it.
Did Juan Pablo make an impression on you?
Juan Pablo. Juan Pablo stick around, just sheer magnetism of Juan Pablo. I think he's good for a few weeks, no question about it. But this is not unusual. Let's not overreact to a first episode when a lot of people are still in the background, haven't come to the fore. We've seen this before. We need to give this a couple of weeks. The first week is for gimmicks. It's to weed out some of these guys that might have a dramatic opening salvo, if you will.
Right.
But that's all they have. And you need to weed those guys out. And that's a lot of what this episode was about.
Juan Pablo is not the first Venezuelan to come on the show and steal the first episode.
Who was the last guy?
The last Venezuelan to do it?
Yeah. Was it a Brazilian last time?
It could have been a Brazilian. It could have been an Ecuadorian, Peruvian. Yeah. I don't really know.
There's always a couple Central Americans.
But you kind of touched on it. Why Juan Pablo? He's sort of like a shooting star that's going to burn out because he doesn't have the depth. He doesn't have the backstory. If he had an alcoholic mother, a father who struggled with addiction, a friend who a tree fell on, something, then he could stick around. Yeah. If he doesn't have any of that, then what more does Juan Pablo have to offer other than the neckbeard?
Juan Pablo doesn't care. Juan Pablo's issue is he could get bored and after like 2 weeks and just wander off the set. And you never hear from Juan Pablo again. Right.
Juan Pablo's a man of mystery. Juan Pablo is the most interesting man in the world. He just will he doesn't really care. He'll just
who I do enjoy is Will, the African American gentleman from Chicago.
Yeah.
I love how in this episode they're just not trying with people of color. They feel like, again, it's a colorblind show now.
Right.
They've proven themselves they don't have to try. So they bring on Will, who acknowledged he's the only black man probably in America who does Bikram yoga. And that's it. I mean, he loves dinner, as you pointed out in our preview. He loves vegetables. He loves crab, shrimp,
seafood,
every kind of seafood. He's already proclaimed his love for Desiree. I mean, he's probably the guy that's remaining that has the least chance to win. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I give it to the shirtless guy or the hashtag guy, Casey. I mean, the hashtag guy is just, come on, dude. Hashtag, come on, dude.
So brutal.
It's just awful. I mean, I wonder, I think a lot of this is put on. I think that guy Jonathan was probably a plant to just act all weird and give some of the swole guys a chance to kind of puff their chests out and try to be heroic. And really, because a lot of the show is about men, they want to make and protect Desiree. So you have to give them something to protect her from. Otherwise, she's just another girl in Malibu driving a Bentley, and there's nothing to protect her from. I've completely lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was talking about. But the point is, I don't think that Juan Pablo is going to win, and I don't think the hashtag guy is going to win.
I think those are fair statements. There are a couple, this is to your point though, there are a couple big guys with big necks who may or may not be in mafia families. There were some veiled references to, the family is always right.
Right.
I don't know if it was Mikey or the other guy. Do you see any of those guys progressing?
I don't think so. I mean, I just see them as kind of the guys that are like, they're kind of running things back in the mansion with the guys. Right. They're like the traffic cops. They're the ones saying, this guy's not here for the right reason. Don't talk to her that way. I'm a father. Don't talk to me like that. That kind of stuff. Like, you don't know what I've been through. That's who they are. They're not real contenders for Desiree, but they're certainly going to make a name for themselves back at the mansion. Well,
that's a guy we didn't mention when we were talking about favorites. That's sort of obvious, and we missed it. Rookie mistake. This guy, Ben, with a cute little boy. This guy has taken the fatherhood angle to another level. And has he, in your view, played the child card more effectively than people have in the past?
I said it in the post. I'm going to say it again. I mean no disrespect to you. I mean no disrespect to other fathers. But
now, when you preface a statement like this, my hackles already get up. I just want you to know. So just tread carefully here.
Just enough with the kids, all right? We're not trying to find the kid a parent. That's not what the show is about. I understand that you have a child. If, one might say if this child really is your everything.
You know what? Just stop right there, because you don't understand the raise a child. You have no idea what it means to have a child. Okay, so just don't try to put yourself in Ben's shoes. Walk that back. Try again.
I'm going to go on this show. I'm going to borrow your two kids. I'm going to come out of the limousine. I'm going to say, look, I got two kids with me. Just look at little artistry. He's wearing a suit. He's wearing a suit. He's got a bow tie on. Look at this kid. Pick me. Give me a rose. It's just shameful. It's shameful. The grandma is standing there, the poor grandmother standing there in the limousine, like
so embarrassing.
Taking the kid back. I mean,
that's embarrassing for everybody.
Where's the kid going? I mean, come on, Ben. Be better than that.
Did you catch this? You might have missed this. It was a quick moment in the episode. Harrison, when he's sitting down, and by the way, I just have to comment on Harrison's performance tonight. I thought he sort of went through the motions.
Agreed.
I feel it was almost like he was just reading cue cards, trying to hit his marks. I was a little bit disappointed, so I want to get to that. But at one point he said, and I'm quoting here, there is no rule book or guidelines to being the Bachelorette.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. And we'll put a link to download it. There most certainly is, Chris Harrison. And I think Desiree seems to have read it with 3 Cinderella references in like one sitting.
Yeah, there is a specific book of guidelines to being on The Bachelorette. And we wrote that book. And if you haven't read it, or if you're not aware of it, well, make yourself aware of it, Chris Harrison.
I think Chris Harrison will kind of warm up a little bit as the season goes on. He's such a veteran at this point. Like, he's not busting his ass in training camp. He's kind of going through the motions. He's like one of these 34-year-old linebackers on the Steelers.
Yeah.
Or Casey Hampton with the run test.
He skips minicamp.
Yeah, he's been down this road before. Maybe he takes the Brett Kiesel route, shows up in a tractor, does a little bit of glad handing, signs some autographs. And then you really see him start to come to play week 5, week 6, week 7. And I expect the same thing out of Harrison.
Well, I hope so. I mean, the other side of that coin is you get to his age, you better be in the best shape of your life. You can't skip the day-to-day hard work that you have to do. And I think maybe we saw a little bit of slippage tonight.
Yeah, he'll regroup though. It's a lot on his mind being a veteran at this stage. He's probably trying to plan his next step. Like maybe get on Dancing with the Stars or something. So you lose a little bit of focus, I think, as you get to that age.
I think you're right. So in closing here, what are your thoughts on Des? I happen to like her a lot. I think she's one of the better Bachelorettes we've had recently.
Yeah, I like her. I liked her last season. I'm a fan of hers. I hope she finds the love that she's looking for. One thing that stood out to me is that she cries all the time. She cannot,
a lot of emotion.
Yeah, and it really it's almost like she's issuing a challenge to us. Like, can we match her emotion? Because she brings a lot of emotion to the table. I think she's very pretty. I think she's very capable as a bachelorette, and I think she's working with a terrible crop of guys. To be honest, I thought it was the worst set of introductions I've ever seen in my life. And
what drug was that fantasy suite guy on?
Yeah, that seemed set up to me.
He was a plant. That guy was a plant.
I don't even want to dignify that really with discussion about it. And so it's just repugnant to me that they would do that on the show. Have a plant.
You don't do that to Des.
No, Des is not that kind of girl.
I think that's clear. She set the tone. It's not going to be a wide open season. It's going to be close checking. You're going to have to work for everything you get. One mistake and you're gone.
Right. There's not a lot of space out there.
That's right. All right. Let's wrap this up. We will be back next Monday. I guess this is happening. There's no turning back now.
Yeah, we'll probably be sticking mostly to podcasts, especially while the playoffs are going on. It's going to be very difficult to write anything about this show during the NHL playoffs. But here and there, maybe we'll have a written recap. But otherwise, we'll definitely try to have podcasts.
Yeah. All right. Join us next week, and thanks for being here, everybody. We'll look forward to a great season. Until next time, the Big Kibitz.
It's time to kibitz, time to kibitz. It's the big kibitz. Come and kibitz with the big kibitz. Ooh, big kibitz. It's the big kibitz. Come and kibitz with the big kibitz. Ooh, big kibitz.